The effects of a DUI on one's career. What are the lasting effects if you are convicted of a DUI? When it comes to the lasting effects of a DUI, it can get a little bit complicated because it's going to ultimately depend upon what you do for a living and the impact based on what you do for a job. For example, if you're just a run-of-the-mill employee, you work at a construction company, you work at Deloitte & Touche, or whatever it may be, a misdemeanor conviction is just that. So it's going to show that you've been convicted of a misdemeanor, and of course it's going to separate one candidate from another when it comes to applying for potential jobs or something to that effect. So if you have person A and person B, by all accounts the exact same person, but person B has a conviction for a DUI, oftentimes it's that DUI that's going to set them apart and make them the less desirable candidate for any potential job. So that's just if you don't operate or you don't drive for a living. Now, let's say you're a CDL driver. You drive trucks, so a commercial driver's license is very important and you need it to operate and to survive. DUIs and CDLs, they don't mix. So if you get convicted of a DUI and you have a commercial driver's license, a CDL, you will lose that CDL for at least a year. And that's just with one DUI conviction. If you start stacking DUI convictions, you run the risk of losing that CDL for life. Now imagine if you're a truck driver and your family rely upon the income that you make while driving a truck. And you pick up a DUI or worse too, and now you all of a sudden lose that ability. That would be catastrophic. You also look at the lasting effects as it has to some professionals, specifically in the medical field. So you can be convicted of a DUI with no alcohol in your system. You can have marijuana or any other type of even prescription drugs. Xanax, clozapine, things of that nature can actually elevate to the level of being convicted of a DUI. So if you're in the professional field, doctor, lawyer, things of that nature, early help, treatment, plus anything that you could potentially do to make anything better with the DUI case itself is going to be paramount to long-term employment. Most importantly, most of these places, doctors and nurses especially, have a mandatory reporting requirement. So if you're convicted of a DUI, you have to report that. And things you do early on is going to have a lasting effect upon anything that could potentially come from the nursing side or the doctor side. Furthermore, if you have multiple DUIs or you have kids in the car, the DUI itself can actually be charged as a felony. So DUIs or OVWIs, again, they can be used interchangeably, they can elevate pretty quickly. Again, if you have kids in the car, felony 6. You have a prior DUI and it's within the last 7 years, felony 6. You get in a DUI and you cause serious bodily injury, felony 5. If you had a DUI and you caused serious bodily injury in the past, you pick up another DUI, felony 5. If you get a DUI and you kill somebody or catastrophically injure them, felony 4. Then all of a sudden you start talking about 12 years in prison, over a decade. So not only are you looking at the effects of potential prison time for multiple DUIs or anything that would elevate it to a felony, you run into actually having a felony charge. Well, having a felony conviction on your record is catastrophic. It limits potentially the right to vote, but then if you're trying to get an apartment, it's going to inhibit you trying to get an apartment. If you're trying to get a new job, most jobs, when it comes to criminal cases, misdemeanors kind of down here. But when you have a felony, that's considered a red flag, and in a lot of places, an automatic disqualifier. So DUIs have a long-lasting effect, and potentially, depending on what you do for a living or how bad the DUI or your criminal history is, it could have even more catastrophic lasting effects. So if you or anyone you know is charged with a DUI, give our office a call, 317-632-3642. We love talking DUIs. It's our bread and butter over here. So if you know anybody or you're charged, give us a call. And remember, always plead the fifth.